Rentaro is at his middle school graduation ceremony. He decides to confess his feelings to a girl he likes. She says she likes him back, but she can't stand the thought of dating him. She makes him feel so sick that he starts crying. He tells his friend what happened, and his friend asks him how many times he has been rejected. Rentaro says that was his 100th rejection. His friend is shocked and wonders how he managed to ask out 100 girls. Rentaro says he started when he was only 8 months old. His friend says he doesn't get why Rentaro is so unlucky with girls. He says Rentaro is not ugly, he's smart and athletic, he's nice to everyone, and he has many male and female friends. But then he says goodbye to him because they are going to different schools. Rentaro wants to have a girlfriend in high school, so he visits a shrine and prays to the god of love. To his surprise, the god of love shows up and tells him that he has a special destiny. He says that Rentaro has 100 soulmates, who are his perfect matches since birth. He also says that Rentaro will feel a shock when he meets them, and they will fall in love instantly. On his first day of high school, Rentaro bumps into 2 girls and feels the shock. He realizes that they are his soulmates, and they feel the same way. One girl is really assertive and asks Rentaro to help her go to the nurse because she hurt her ankle. The other girl is at tsundere and says she didn't hurt her ankle just so she could lean on him or anything. He tries to help both of them, but they end up carrying him instead. Then they tell him their names. The tsundere is Karane, and the girl with pink hair is Hakari. They're all in the same class. Right after that, 2 girls walk by and talk about a love superstition. There is a place in the schoolyard with pink clovers. If you find a clover with 4 leaves and ask someone out with it, they will say yes. The girls want to try it and go look for a clover with 4 leaves. They search for 4 hours and can't find one. Rentaro is very touched by this and brings them something to drink. Karane takes it while saying he's being gross. She says she was just about to go home and thanks him for the drink. Then she says she's not thankful while running away. Hakari says she can't finish all the drink by herself and asks him to share it with her. She wants an indirect kiss. He accepts, but when she tries to drink from it, she's too nervous and spills all the drink, so she starts to cry. He gives her a cloth to clean her skirt from the juice. At that moment, she decides to be brave and tells him she likes him. He's about to accept her confession when Karane comes back with many cans of juice. She got one of each kind because she didn't know his preference. She's mad at Hakari for beating her to it, but then she realizes she has exposed herself and says that if he wants to date her so badly, she can't be his girlfriend. But then she wants to do it properly and tells him directly that she loves him. Then they both ask him to choose one of them. He asks them to wait until the next day for his answer, and then he goes to the temple to seek help from the god of love. He wonders how other people who have 2 soulmates at the same time like him deal with it. The god says that usually people only have 1 soulmate, but that he messed up when choosing how many soulmates he would have. He was watching a really good show on TV and by mistake he wrote the rating he gave the show on Rentaro's paper, 100 soulmates. The god also tells him that if soulmates don't get together, they die, so the girl he says no to will die. Very worried about this, Rentaro finally thinks of a good plan. The next day, he comes to them all torn up and asks both of them to be his girlfriends. He says he loves both so much he couldn't choose just one. Karane doesn't like the idea at all, but then he shows them 2 pink 4-leaf clovers. He came to the school last night and looked for them because he thought they would like this kind of romantic gesture and it would make them happy. His words make both of them have a nosebleed. Then Hakari agrees to his offer. Not wanting to miss out, Karane also agrees. He promises to make both of them the happiest girls alive, and they both hug him. This anime is so sweet, it will surely give you diabetes. They all get together the next day to go to school. Hakari is fast and grabs Rentaro's hand right away. Rentaro also takes Karane's hand. Then Hakari asks Rentaro to use her first name. He does that and then does the same for Karane. After that, they keep saying each other's names all the way to school. At school, they see the hideous vice principal. She runs after boys who are running in the halls and she kisses them with her tongue. It's extremely traumatizing. Speaking of kisses, the girls want to know if Rentaro has ever kissed anyone. He tells them they're his first girlfriends ever, so they start to compete for his first kiss. They go to the top of the school to eat lunch. The girls give Rentaro some food they made and he says it's very good. Then Hakari has this typical anime candy that you can share and she puts it in Rentaro's mouth. They are almost kissing, but Karane also takes a candy with her mouth and she hits his eye with it. That after previously poking his other eye too. So now she thinks he's sick and says that she can make him better by kissing. But Hakari stops their kiss by hitting Karane with her boobs. She says that she will see if he's hot, but that in her family they do that with their foreheads and lips. Karane gets in the way once more, and now wants him to pass out to give him mouth to mouth, but Hakari hits her with her boobs again. At that moment, Rentaro finally realizes they want to kiss him. He has an idea to make them stop fighting for the first kiss. He says they won't know who kissed them first. His plan is very complicated. They will wear masks over their eyes, headphones with music, and stand behind them in a random order decided by dice. He will also roll dice to pick which way to turn first, left or right. They start a plan, but it goes bad fast. First, he grabs Hakari's chest instead of her shoulder. He knows it's her, so he takes off his mask. But Hakari says she's okay and he can do more if he wants. They tell Karane to do it again. When Karane is first in the next try, a cat plays with her underwear strings. She thinks it's Rentaro and knees him while calling him a pervert. Then she gives him a real beatdown, telling him to save before he touches there. After that, other attempts at kissing fail, each time because of a crazier situation. The girls start fighting again. Karane is mad at Hakari and asks what they were doing because they always got very red when it was their turn. Hakari fights back and asks why Rentaro got hurt more and more with her. She tells her to stop hurting her man. Karane says that he's not Hakari's, but hers. Rentaro stops them and says that this all happened because he still hasn't had his first kiss, so he decides to run away and call for the vice principal. She catches him, and when she's about to defile him, his girlfriends save him from that monster, saying they will tell an inspector from the Board of Education about her. When she's gone, they tell Rentaro that if he's going to waste his first kiss on trash who doesn't even love him, they'd much rather let the other have it. When he sees they both actually get along, he says the first thing he thought of but didn't say before because he thought they both didn't like each other, that they all kiss at the same time. They feel shy, but they agree and they all have their first kiss at the same time. The next day, they all go to the library to look for some books, and while Rentaro is doing that, he meets his third soulmate. They both feel the shock. She has a book in her hands and points to a line of text with her finger. It says she's the governor of this land. That means she's the librarian. Rentaro thinks maybe she talks like that because the library is quiet, so he starts using his hands to talk to her, but she wonders why he doesn't say anything. He asks her the same thing. She says she's sorry and says it is hard for her to talk to people. He will find someone else to help him get a book, but he tells her not to go and asks her to help him get a romance book with a happy ending. She's happy to hear that and chooses many books, but he says he'll read them all. Nevertheless, he has to wait a week to get a new library card so he can take any book. Therefore, she gives him her own book because it belongs to her, not the library. He takes it and later asks her name. She's Shizuka. He enjoys the book so much that he finishes it in one night. He even cries while reading it. But the first book ends in a big cliffhanger. The next day, she brings the second book to school, so he gives back the first and gets the second from her. He wants to thank her for it with a drink. He says it's amazing how she remembers the book so well, because when she speaks, she finds the perfect line to say right away. She says that it's a skill she has because of the type of person she is. She never had a friend in her life. Only the world she read in the book made her happy. She then thanks him for not shunning her. In response, he asks to take the first book again. She says yes, but then he doesn't show up for the next 3 days, until she sees him with his girlfriends. Rentaro is telling the girls he has been going to bed late because he has a lot to do, but these dirty-minded girls think it's because he's been touching himself. Then they start acting sweet while Shizuka is looking from afar. She's heartbroken. She starts remembering her past, how she got picked on in classes for not talking normally. Even her mom was mean to her and made her cry while yelling at her to speak up. After classes that day, Rentaro finally comes to see her. He says there is an app he wants her to install on her phone. Then he wants her to import the file he sent her to the app. When she does, she sees it's her book, even though she knows it's not out as an ebook. When she selects a text from the book, the app says what she selected with a synthesized voice. She realizes he typed the whole book manually. He says he did it so she can talk to people and look at them. He says he can't imagine how hard it is for her to talk out loud, so he doesn't want to push her to do it. He then tells her to try it out, and the first thing she says is that she loves him. She's crying and says she doesn't want him to say anything because she knows he has a girlfriend. That's when he realizes that it's not because he wants to save her life or because she's his soulmate. It's that he really loves her, and he tells her that, but she replies they are destined to never be together, to which he says that if fate stands in their way, they just need to fight it, and they hug each other. We then see him asking his other girlfriends if he can add Shizuka to the harem. Like before, Karane is totally against it, while Hakari is glad because even though he found a new love, he didn't break up with them. He says he still cares for them and not only Shizuka. He loves all of them the same as always. Seeing how serious he is, Karane has no choice but to say yes. He has 3 girlfriends now, 97 more to go.
Then, they were on the roof for lunch, and Rentaro exposed Shizuka's habit, which she always does, as well as Hikari's habit of eating her finger when she's shy. And Karane's habit of playing with her hair when she wanted to say something. He noticed their habits, but he clearly remembers their kissing habits as well. And Shizuka now knows they have kissed each other. She seems to be excited from it, and by her words, Hikari and Karane saw that Shizuka also wanted to kiss, but she was too shy to express it. So Rentaro tells her to take things easy if she's not ready for it. So after that, Rentaro tells them to play some card game and to spice things up. The winner could tickle the loser. They were so into it, and Rentaro thought of losing the game, but sadly he won and Karane lost, so Rentaro gets down with the punishment, but it seemed like he was doing something illegal to her. Then round 2 was the same, but this time Hikari lost. But this one is a perv, and as expected, she gets so into it that she had to check herself if she got wet from excitement. Then round 3 Shizuka lost and her laugh was the quietest laugh anyone had ever heard. Then Rentaro lost one round and Shizuka got the chance to tickle him. But she was just poking the guy and it looked like Rentaro was pushing himself to laugh. But he gets away to go to the restroom, and then Karain asked Shizuka why she is keeping her distance from Rentaro because she just started poking him even though she could have tickled him properly. So Karain tells Shizuka that she is also Rentaro's girlfriend now, so she shouldn't hesitate. Shizuka understood her words and decided to speak from her heart. But looking like this Karain seems scary, so Shizuka cleared up that she's not cute as both of them, so Karain tells Shizuka that she's plenty cute with the feature of tiny body and gentle behavior. So she shouldn't worry because Rentaro loves them equally. Then after that, Rentaro comes back and Karain tells him that they would repeat the punishment and Shizuka saw that two of them were helping her out to become more open. So she asked Rentaro for a kiss with all the courage she had, so Rentaro gets happy and finally gave her a kiss, but she got into cloud 9 with that, and seeing them. Hikari asked for the same, and after their kiss she also got lost. Last was Karain. She acts as if she won't care, but even she's in the same boat as those three. Rentaro felt to be the luckiest guy at that moment. But when Rentaro goes to class to pick his phone, he saw the Nano all alone, and as he tried to talk, both of them felt the sting of current inside of them. Rentaro understood that's it. She's the fourth soulmate, so he tried to ask her to tag along with him to see the test results, but Nano knows she's first in the class, so she passed on that offer. Then Rentaro leaves from there for now and goes to see his test score, and there he saw what Nano said was true. She's the top in the ladder as a true genius with perfect score. And the girls tells Rentaro that Nano is a super genius, that she got an identity of an advanced AI, so in the science lab, instead of trying out the practical way, Nano was copying everything about cells from her textbook. She thinks it's a better way to learn, and she doesn't want to waste time observing the cells. But Rentaro convinced Nano to try seeing those microorganisms through microscope, and instead of onion she took her textbook to see the drawing. She's a lost cause. So Rentaro gets to his own work but cuts his finger with blade, so Nano put his finger in her mouth to apply saliva, because saliva is a natural antibacterial. But she had no idea how difficult it was for Rentaro to control his blood pressure from that awesome pleasure, and while they were doing that, his three girlfriends had no idea what was going on right behind their back. Then afterwards, Rentaro thanked Nano for her help and he wanted to repay her kindness, but she was acting hard to get. Rentaro tried to get closer to her by asking her about her hobbies, and she tells him that she has no interest in anything other than her studies. Nano thinks having fun means they are neglecting their future, but Rentaro objects to that thought. But life is meaningless without studies from her point of view, but still. No matter how hard she tried to run away from her feelings, she kept thinking of Rentaro that night, so she decided her fate and proposed to Rentaro the other day, and Rentaro accepted her love. But right away she breaks up with Rentaro, as she made a scam of the year with him. She planned to end her love from the beginning, because romance between teens is just a waste of time. But Rentaro didn't back down and told her that he won't accept this end. Rentaro tells Nano that he still loves her, and even if Nano declines she still has feelings for Ren after all. So Ren asked for only one chance that he would make her fall in love with him. So the next day, they goes to a theme park for their date and Ren brought out a camera to capture their memories together. They then goes to a haunted house, but only Ren was feeling the fun of the theme park. So after that they got into a Ferris wheel ride and Nano was feeling scared from the heights, so Rentaro sits beside her to hold her hands to make her feel secure. Then at noon, Ren gave out their photos together, but even after this Nano believes that these memories are meaningless to her because, as she will not have a relationship with him. So Ren then decided to destroy their fun memories right there, but Nano suddenly started to remember their time together and became honest with her feelings this time. Their Rentaro made her understand the value of feelings that last forever in her life, and with that, the tough rock cracked and she accepted to become Rentaro's girlfriend. So he introduced Nano to his other three girls, and they weren't surprised at all and accepted the new member in their family. But when they heard that Ren took Nano to a theme park for a date, they all wanted to have the same fun time together, and there the pervert got the real-time idea, that is, to go to water park. So everyone goes swimsuit shopping, but Karain was troubled to choose a swimsuit, but she did like one pair and bought it thinking Ren would like that. So they all met at the park and the girls just took Rentaro's heart by storm with those perfect swimsuits, especially Nano. But Karain was embarrassed to show herself and Ren thought she might be cold that she covered herself with that thing, so she leaves to sit on the sidelines, and then everyone took a dip. But Suzuka was seeing the world at 360 degrees in the whirlpool, and their Hikari was making a move on Rentaro with her massive racks, and Nano didn't want to be left behind. So she gives Rintaro a nice and soft feel of her own features, and their Hikari took the challenge and lets Rin squeeze her massive racks as well. This got into a wild competition which pair Rintaro would love, but Rintaro got bathed in a bloodbath from the soft heat, so they took him out of the pool as he was drowning in there. But while trying to give him CPR, Hikari started kissing him, so Nano moved her out, but even she couldn't control her naughty thoughts, and at this rate Rin was sure to die. So both of them ran to find a lifeguard for help, but they were stopped by 3 ruffians. They wanted to have fun with the girls and one of them tried to touch Hikari. So Nano steps in and blinds the guy, but that increases the trouble for them because the other 2 are pissed, but in the meantime, Suzuka was wandering around the world without a stop. And then her tube was out and she took a stop, but she didn't know where she was, and on Hikari's side. Nano tells the tube guy that she would hang out with them but let Hikari go so she could save Rin, because she thinks she is Rintaro's new girlfriend, so if something happened to Hikari, he would feel much more sadness. But Hikari tells Nano that even if she hasn't been dating Rin for too long, Rintaro's feelings for his girlfriends are always equal. But there the dude had his bottoms up, but Rintaro comes for the rescue. He tells them to back off because 2 of them are his girlfriends. So the guy didn't believe on him and told Rintaro to prove it, so their Hikari and Nano kissed Rintaro right away, so the ruffians ran away from there out of jealousy. So basically Karain saw that Rintaro was out of commission and Hikari and Nano were in trouble as well, so she told this to Rintaro and he comes back to life just listening to that. But they forgot about Suzuka, and remembering it Rin runs out for the rescue, but Suzuka was a little too far for Rintaro to see, and that first time, Suzuka called out to someone with her sweet but faint voice, and Rintaro heard even that faint voice and saved her. She was in such awe that she kissed Rin in public and instantly became embarrassed. Then after bringing her back, he invites Karain, but she was still embarrassed, and Rintaro knew that she was feeling down because she compared her chest size to Hikari and Nano. So he tells Karain that she's perfect for her age and he took off her cover and saw Karain seriously looked cute in that swimsuit. He hugged her to make her believe. And in that heating moment they stole a hot kiss there, then they met up with other girls and had pretty fun time with each other. But after a water park date with all of the 4 girls, it was time to get back to studying, but while being dragged out to class, he felt another string of shock and discovered his 5th soulmate while passing through chemistry lab. So after the class was over, Rintaro then comes to the lab to meet that girl. But she was nowhere at that time, but there was this lowly here named Yukuzan was a member of the chemistry lab, so she invited Rintaro for a tea in a beaker. It was strange way to welcome, but Rintaro gives it a try, a tea through the beaker, such a joke, yet he took a sip. And suddenly Yukuzan pops out again with a new liquid she created that makes anyone into a living magnet, sort of like a power-up potion you get in game that attracts coin. Well, Rintaro was a pushover, so he got forced to gulp down the south side of magnetic potion, and surprisingly he really turned into a magnet. But the only side effect it had was to spend all of the time in the toilet for 3 days after drinking it, but there was more to the bad news. Kusuri drinks the north side of her liquid and gets joined with Rintaro, but to add up more mess, Kusuri got a nature's call. Rintaro tried to separate her before she peed herself. But Kusuri wasn't bothered. At this time I don't know if she's smart or dumb, but she wears diapers to avoid the waste of time by going toilet to concentrate on her chemical experiment. Then right there, she let the sprinklers out, which was a total nutjob experience. Rintaro also knew this one surely is a handiwork, but Rintaro saw that she loves her chemistry work from her heart. And he realized he was getting swapped away by another girl while he got here to find that mature woman, his 5th soulmate, yet he can't help but get drawn towards Kusuri. And Kusuri noticed Rintaro's was gazing at her and told Rintaro that her love potion is working that she mixed in his tea earlier. Hearing this, Rintaro throws up to remove that potion from his system, but it seemed to Kusuri that Rintaro hates her so much that even her potion doesn't work on him, so Kusuri's heart was broken. There Rintaro clears up that he wants his love to be real, not with some half-baked love potion. But the love drinks showed such a madly side effects. And he wasn't in no condition to drink the neutralizer medicine, so Kusuri had to give it herself to make Rintaro normal again, no doubt, but the neutralizer made Kusuri normal again. She looked like a kid because an immortality liquid she developed, but it wore off with that neutralizer. She's a 3rd-year senior of the school and a maniac when it comes to chemistry. And Rintaro got a new member added to his harem family. Rintaro told Kusuri about his 4 girls, so to get along, Kusuri made some liquid for everyone, for Hikari. Kusuri made a liquid to look more sexy. She thought her bust and hips would grow larger to seduce Run, but the liquid actually turned her sweat into a cloth melting acid. So Rintaro gives his tracksuit to her, but the pervert started sniffing at Rintaro's smell. As for Suzuka, she grew out bunny ears with the liquid. Cuteness was irresistible. Plus her ears became sensitive, and for Nano, Kusuri made a liquid which could manipulate her hair to her will. Nano loved the efficient way for getting Rintaro. But the liquid had side effects of hair loss and Rentaro didn't want to see her beautiful hair fall down, so Nano gave up. Then after all the commotion, Kusuri had a nature's call, but before leaving she told them she had prepared a different tea for Rentaro and others. Then she leaves, looking at the bottles. The girls took the larger one and Rentaro took the smaller bottle, and after that, Kusuri returned, but Kusuri saw that the tea from the larger bottle was for Rentaro and the girls took it. And that tea turned the girls into kiss zombies. Well, praised the genius that she found a new type of zombie who doesn't seek human meat, but kiss from their lover. And if the girls stayed like this for a long time, they will no longer return to their senses. But there was still a chance to bring them back if Kusuri made the neutralizer, but the girls had developed some super strength, like super zombies, so to slow them down Kusuri had the acid. But there was no way she could use it. There the vice principal blocked them, and seeing her Kusuri freaked out and threw the acid at her. Surprisingly, old hag wasn't burning because she had a lot of makeup, but the makeup was wearing off, so she runs out of there. Then Nano orders other girls to surround Rentaro from all sides. So Ren does the same and splits up with Kusuri to keep her safe, but Suzuka fell down and out of worry Rentaro took her to nurse's office to bandage her forehead. Until then she was being a good girl, but after that, she becomes quite a naughty one indeed. Rentaro was losing himself in the pleasure, so he hangs Suzuka on the hanger and leaves, but on his way, Hikari and Karain catches our boy and kisses him senseless, but he remembers having a three-way kiss with both of them, so he paired up Hikari and Karain. But seriously, God bless the author for creating this scenario in anime. After that heated scene, Rentaro took his leave, but Nano was already in the lab, so Rentaro hides in a nearby locker with Kusuri. Rentaro thought of being a decoy, but he remembers that Nano was the one who ordered the other girls to surround him, which means Nano was still playing smart and came after Kusuri rather than him. So Kusuri had an idea and drank a bit of a neutralizer to return back to form, so Nano didn't realize it was Kusuri, since she never saw Kusuri in her real form. But Kusuri gave in with her I accent and got busted, so this time Rentaro took out Nano's attention and locked himself in room. However, Nano was a super zombie and forced her way through that door, and Rentaro was so exhausted from all of this that he passed out while kissing. Such a fine ending for a guy. And with that, Residence Evil of kissing zombies was about to take over the slice of life anime. But Kusuri comes in and brought Nano back to her normal self. With that, they made the other three normal as well, but they still had their memories of what they did. So Hikari and Karain pretended to have lost their memories in order to hide the fact that they were heating up so much with each other. But Kusuri burst out in tears because she made a mess and assumed everyone would be angry at her, so she decided to leave the chemistry forever. But Rentaro stopped her because he doesn't mind the mess she makes and promised to love her the way she is, which touched her heart and allowed Rentaro to solve yet another mess with his harem. But now Hikari has some serious problems going on her end. And her mom said something that completely plugs her light out. Girl got broken hearing those words. But then the scene suddenly shifted to a beautiful flower garden where the Rentaro family had come in for a group date. It was Hikari's idea to have a date in this splendid park. But an announcement got aired to notice everyone in the garden about a bouquet toss event, and the winner gets to have a photo shot in a wedding dress. There's no way Rentaro family could pass up this chance, and Hikari had this little but sweet dream from her childhood to have this type of photo at least once. She ought to make this chance happen. But there was a massive crowd gathered already for this event, and a gorilla came in bypassing the security to take a picture with her flower-like delicate boyfriend. How did this gorilla got a boyfriend in the first place? Well, anyway, she brought a bunch of her underlings for support, so Hikari suggested working together to fight the gorilla group. They were chanting like crazy, so Rentaro and the girls decided to leave Shizuka out of this because of her tiny shape and lightweight. As for Kusuri, she turns back into a sweet 17. Those gorilla had flags with them, so Rentaro turns his towel into a flag so that Suzuka could cheer for them out. So now, the long-awaited time had come to begin the event, and the event organizers called the spider monster from the Resident Evil series. So without further ado, Baba threw out the bouquet with her monster power and the rugby game begins from there on. The gorilla grabbed her own underlings to throw them like a bowling ball at others. This time she targeted Hikari, so the boss waifu saved her and became a wall for Rentaro family. So our wild cat holds off the gorilla gang to give the Rentaro family a chance to get the bouquet. But the gorilla gang started a hurricane by moving their flags, which swaps away Suzuka in air. Her tiny body was holding on only because of that towel glider, but when she saw the bouquet, she forgot she was in air and grabbed the darn thing, so it was time for her to come back to Earth. So Nano, Hikari and Kusuri were on their way to the rescue at the landing point, where their massive natural airbags bounced the lowly waifu and Rentaro caught her from falling down, so the Rentaro family won. And the wildcat became friends with Gorilla. Because of Gorilla she avoided the mountains of embarrassment, so now that Rentaro family won, who will get to have the photo shot. And just to decide that Hikari had the plan all ready to draw out from lots, she had made a barely visible cut on stick for her to know which one to pick out. She thought Nano was a super genius, so she would go for the nearest stick to her for efficiency, but instead she told everyone to pick it out at the same time. Hikari's emotional bridge had been broken, but even so she drew out the winner's lot, so Kusuri started to throw out the tantrum to get the chance, so who knows what got into Hikari that she willingly gave up the chance to Kusuri, but then Kusuri got a second thought. She realized she shouldn't throw a tantrums in this situation and told Hikari to go get the photos. But Hiraki brought everyone in it together to have a family photo. Hikari got her dream fulfilled and was happy to be with Rentaro, for that she was extremely happy. But out of nowhere she asked Rentaro for a breakup. Bro was confused why the most obsessed one wants to break up suddenly, and after changing the outfits Hikari suddenly vanished. So Rentaro tries to call her, but there wasn't any answer, so he remembers the photo Hikari had sent to him had her home address on back, so Rentaro got to her home and saw a large expensive mansion. He saw Hikari was near the window, but she told him to calm down. She called Rentaro from her landline, and Rentaro tells her that he won't accept this breakup. And he wants to know the reason behind this absurd decision, so she tells Rentaro that her mother found out about their harem relationship. She tried to convince her mother that Rentaro is faithful and she is happy with everything, but she didn't listen and even made plans to send her far away right tomorrow. That's a rich mother for you. She would use all the money she wants to do whatever she had decided, so the breakup is the only option left. Right then her mother got there and warned Rentaro to stay away or she could even dispose of him, and hangs up. Rentaro wanted to talk, but security told him to go away because he can't do anything because he's just a kid, and Hikari begged her mother to let this go. And sexy bitch mama threatened Hikari that she could send Rentaro to a place where no one would find him out, which scared out our little Hikari, and mama was happy that Hikari was obeying her words. And she was happy that she was able to separate her from that 5-timer Rentaro, and swore to kill anyone who tries to play with her dearest daughter. Alright, I take it back. She's not a bitch mama, but an overly protective mama. Rentaro was broken because he has no power to do anything. It was frustrating as hell for not having any sort of power. He can't forget about his love, so late night he told this to his harem. He told all of them that he would sneak into the mansion to bring out Hikari. And once they are out, Rentaro plans to run away to an unknown location where no one would ever find them, so he asked the girls to wait for him and one day he would return to them. But there was no way Karain would accept this and just sit around forever and wait, so she chose to run away with them. Along with her, the others also agreed to flee with each other. Rentaro broke into Hikari's mansion to rescue Hikari, but she wasn't answering her phone or landline, so Rentaro brought out a ball to throw at her window to call her out. But his throw was awful but close, and in that darkness of night they lost their ball, but their Karain saw the cat was playing with their ball. She tried to take it back, but the cat was resilient. Cat was heading towards Nano and she thought to disable the cat, quick and efficient, so Rentaro uses the non-violent method and caught the cat. But a security guard heard their ruckus and came in to check, so they hides behind the tree and the cat smartly gets out to take the guard's attention. They lost their ball, but at least it took the guard's attention, so the only choice left is to break inside the house, and their Nano guessed there must be a pet door and she was right in the money. But the size of the door was too small, so Karain asked Kusuri if she had a drug to make someone smaller. Except for Karain, everyone knew it was impossible, but it was worth a try. So Nano brought out some mini rocks from the garden, and with a few tries she unlocked the door. She threw the rocks with calculated power at the right angle. But Rentaro noticed Nano was hiding her hand, so he takes her hand and saw she broke her nail to unlock the door. Nano remembers even now how Hikari stood up to save her in the water park. And that made her realize she should do the same for Hikari this time. Then they finally got inside the house, but a big shadow scared the pants off of them. It's the pet dog and everyone runs out of there in time, but Rentaro noticed Suzuka got so scared that she couldn't even get up, but for some reason Nano stopped Rentaro from making any move. And for Suzuka she tried to get herself together remembering Hikari, so she thought the most logical way was to give up. That's the fate, and for some reason the dog didn't do anything. So Nano explains that dogs have this natural instinct to protect weak animals and infants, and Suzuka seriously looks like a weak little child, so Nano suggests to let Suzuka pick its eyes out. Pure violence, so Kusuri brings out a sleeping potion and gave it to Suzuka, but Kusuri didn't tell Suzuka it was a sleeping potion and she drank it. Their dog licks her and even he falls asleep. Giant load of luck they got, but now comes the corridor and their cat returns. Cat showed them there's alarming sensors everywhere in the way. And once again, Kitty saved the day and the Rentaro family was not apprehended, but infrared sensors are bound to fail their rescue mission, but luckily for them, Kusuri had infrared eye drops. So Rentaro gives it a try of one of her experiments again, and the only downside is that it blinds the person to everything other than infrared for the time being. But their Karanes saw the envelope and Kasuri snatched it instantly, but Nano already saw the address and it was of the foreign pharmaceutical lab. They all remembered that Kasuri wanted to be hired by this lab. It was a dream, yet she gives it up. Kasuri tells everyone that she bothered Hikari with her potion and tantrum, yet she remained her friend. So she wanted to do anything to help her, and for that feelings Rentaro was prepared to pass through this infrared wall. But the reality is harsh when he saw the sensors and realized that even Tom Cruise couldn't pass through the sensors wall, but Rentaro thought the ceiling were too high from the sensors. It was a great way to pass through, but the ceiling were too widened, and Nano used the theory brain that two people could work together to fill the gap. And the most suitable to fill the gap was Karane. They had to get tied up like this to pass from the ceiling, but Nano warns them to be synchronized in every move or failure is guaranteed. They remembered her warning and started the Mission Impossible task to pass the sensors, but halfway, Karane's t-shirt got a bit up and Rentaro was touching her tummy. It was hard to endure that sensation that turns her on, but girl endured it somehow and got to the ending point. Then they found Hikari in her room crying on her family picture, but the alarm went on because they had opened the door. Her mother had even set an alarm on her door by chance if Hikari tried to run out, and now Karane and Rentaro were caught by Hikari's mother, Hahari, and Rentaro knew there was only one option left. So Rentaro asked Hahari for Hikari's hand in marriage, but Hahari couldn't slide off that easily. She tells them her story. She gave birth to Hikari at the age of 13. Because the person she fell in love with had fallen ill and was fated to die, so she wanted a keepsake of their love, so she got the best medical care and risked childbirth at the age of 13. Hahari knew Hikari is just like her. They become blind in their love and thinks it's everything in their life, and after that, her love passed away, and Hahari became a single mother. So she dedicated her life to Hikari, but she never once thought that Hikari is a substitute for her love, so Hahari simply doesn't want Hikari to go through this type of regret. Because Rentaro has 5 girls in his life, including Hikari, so she was concerned that he wouldn't be able to make Hikari happy. Rentaro started crying hearing her backstory and her love for Hikari, which flinched Hahari's heart that Rentaro understands her hardship, but all those tears washed away the potion effect. And just as Rentaro's eyes met with Hahari, Rentaro felt the strings again and realized Hahari is the 6th soulmate, and Hahari felt the love she had forgotten and asked Rentaro out. Girlfriend's mom just proposed to him and Karane was trying to make Rentaro understand that he's supposed to convince Hahari not to rizz her up, hearing her. Hahari came back to her senses and gets back to the main topic. She didn't want to give her daughter to Rentaro, so she brought out a truth detector chair. And the best person to test out its accuracy is Karane. Since using Hahari's men for this wouldn't be as convincing, Hahari asked Karane if she loved Rentaro. And Karane is at Sundara and had to admit she loves Rentaro the most in the world, and in the heat of her confession, Rentaro also tries out the truth chair. Rentaro admits he loves Hikari in the most and he will make her happy. It was all true, which Hahari couldn't accept, so she rejected the outcome of her own test, but there comes a major problem. A maid told everyone that Hikari was about to commit suicide, so Karane took this opportunity to lock Hahari and let Rentaro and Hikari run away from here. But mommy was still strong enough to move even though Karane was locking her down, so while the love of war is happening with the two ladies, Rentaro gets to Hikari to talk things through. Hikari was convinced that even if they ran away from here, she would be nothing more than a burden to Rentaro, because her mother will always come after them. But Rentaro admitted that he wouldn't be able to live without her. Rentaro's sweet words got through to Hikari, and she decided to return, but Hikari slipped from there. And Rentaro jumps out without thinking twice to save her, but he wasn't able to hold out for much longer, so he used the wall to fall into the pond. Thanks to that, both landed safely. But Karane slaps Hikari for pulling out that stunt. Hahari saw how much Rentaro loves her daughter and apologized for everything she did, but Rentaro knew Hahari always did everything for Hikari. Despite being alone, so Rentaro took Hahari's hand and promised that he would make both of them happy. Hearing this, Hahari just can't handle her happiness because spring came to her once again. With none other than her own daughter's boyfriend, so she invited everyone to stay for the night. She dressed up all the girls in the cute pajamas she had in her collection. But Shizuka and Kasuri's cuteness were overloaded, and seeing them, Hahari gets a nosebleed, so she goes out of the room to get some water from the kitchen, and Rentaro tags along to accompany her. But Hahari had been holding back for 16 years, and now, finally getting this chance, she asked Rentaro to come to her room, and with that, Mama is finally going to turn our boy into a man. Because the other members of the harem family were playing cards, and Hikari was the first to notice that her mother was up to no good, and right then, they heard Hahari moan loudly in pleasure. So all the girls rushed into her room to stop the momming and heat, but Hahari actually forced Rentaro to cross-dress into a girl. All the girls were impressed by Hahari's taste. But as our boy fell unconscious from embarrassment, Hahari got another thriller idea. After a brief standby, she brought all new Prince Charming Nano. To replay the fairy tale of Prince kissing the princess, Rentaro had had enough of this and went to have a bath. So both mother and daughter planned to take a peek at their future husband's naked body. All the girls loved the idea, but our pure little Shizuka thought of protesting to save Rentaro's chastity. So Hahari and Hikari folded the stuffed toy with a mattress, then hangs Kasuri by her legs to get a peek through the window, but her half-visible face almost scared our guy to death. So he quickly washes up to leave the bath, but on the other side, Shizuka thought Rentaro's chastity was on the line, so she rolls her way out of there. And the girls goes into the attic to spy from above, but a cat passes by them and they all got scared, and downstairs Rentaro was on the verge of dying because of the girls, and on the other side, Shizuka falls down the stairs and hits the bath in speed. She got out of that futon, but she got messed up from the hot water, so Rentaro tried to help her get out. But his towel fell off and Magnum got exposed. Seeing that, Shizuka falls unconscious, so when Rentaro brought out Shizuka he caught the girls beeping on him, so Rentaro scolded them for good. After that craziness, the Rentaro family was playing cards, but Hahari got shy with just a touch with Rentaro, then suddenly she got sad and left the room. Rentaro noticed Hahari was hiding her sadness and found her praying in front of her deceased lover, so Rentaro asked Hahari her reason for staying alone all this time. And Hahari confessed that she couldn't forget about her late lover and yet she fell in love with Rentaro. Hahari thought it was wrong, but Rentaro made her understand that what she did was not wrong. So Hahari asked Rentaro to kiss her, because her late lover told her to save her first kiss for the person who will become her lover in the future, because that guy knew he would die from an illness. So Rentaro fulfilled her wish and gives her the first kiss, so after that, everyone goes back to sleep, but Hikari sneaked into Rentaro's bed. She was just relieved that she would be able to stay with him together, so they drifted back to sleep with each other. But after a while Rentaro woke up because Karaina and Hikari started kissing each other thinking they were kissing Rentaro, so Rentaro goes out for the restroom, but he saw the ghost of Hahari's lover. But Rentaro was surprisingly calm that time because he was grateful that he brought Hikari to this world and brought happiness to Hahari long before him. It saved Daddy's soul and he goes to heaven as he got salvation after 16 years. Then Rentaro woke up in the corridor thinking it was a dream, and thus everything returns to normal. Rentaro got mommy in the harem as well, and Hahari couldn't stay away from Rentaro, so she bought the whole school and becomes the chairperson. The second season of this anime is currently in production, so if you want to watch another season of this anime, subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon to get the latest updates. Till then, take care.
How was the video? We hope it was good. If so, please check these videos. Also, please comment down your thoughts and your suggestions for future videos. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing now to show the support to our channel. We hope to see you soon with another video right in this channel. Have a nice day.